Namaskar to all the distinguished personalities here. Professor Maruti Nandan ji, A.B. Shukla ji, Shri Ashok Pradhan ji, Balu Chopade ji, and all others who have joined us. First of all, I request Shubha Vatsal to please recite the Namankar mantra. Shubha Vatsal.
Hello, Namaskar to all. Uh, I'll start with the Namokar mantra, which is the most important mantra in Jainism. Uh, Namo Arihantanang, Namo Siddhanang, Namo Ayariyanang, Namo Vajjayanang, Namo Loe Savasahunang, ऐसो पंच नमोकारो सब पावपनासनो मंगलानंच सव्यसिम परमम हवै मंगलम परमम हवै मंगलम.
Dhanyavad. So now we start the today's talk with a brief introduction to the program. As we all know that temples are a part of our great and distinct heritage that is bequeathed by our forefathers over past millennia. Bhavan's K.M. Munshi Center for Indology and Destination Heritage, dedicated to preservation and promotion of our cultural heritage, the Sanskritic Dharohar, has been organizing a series of talks the whole of this year on Indian temples, celebrating the 75th year of our independence. In this series, the second lecture today is on Jain temples of Khajuraho, given by Professor Maruti Nandan Tiwari ji. Temples were built for sanctification of the states, for doing meritorious acts, establishing dharma in the society and value systems. I'm not going to speak anything about Khajuraho and the temples there. Just a few words, very briefly, I want to talk about is that only 3 out of 20 Jaina temples could survive, although there were 85 temples in all in Khajuraho, and only 20 out of them could survive because of the invasions. So today, Professor Maruti Nandanji will take us to a visit to the Jain temples of Khajuraho, giving architectural details, taking us from Ardha Mandapa to Mandapa, entering the Garbhagriha, adoring the Tirthankar Parshvanath in the western Devalaya, Tirthankar Rishabh Devji in the western, and all showing us the inscriptional evidence, decorations on the facades, and Pradakshinapath and Shastri Charcha, and many more elements. And also, especially, we'll speak about the common elements in Hindu and Buddhist temples in Khajuraho, like Hindu deities engraved on the facades. There are selected scenes from Ramayana and also the life of Krishna that are there in other temples also, like a portrayal of Goddess Saraswati, Lakshmi, and then Ambika and Jinas. So there are many deities fulfilling the daily demands, the daily needs, the aspirations of the devotees. So that is why we have decided we have given the name of the series that this is a sacred world serving the secular world. So with this very brief introduction to the talk, I don't want to take much time. So I welcome I welcome all the distinguished speaker, Professor Maruti Nandan Tiwari ji, Shri A.B. Shukla ji, Shri Ashok Pradhan ji, and all those who have joined us to listen to Professor Tiwari ji. First of all, I request Dr. Geeta Yubadikalaya, founder, trustee of Destination Heritage, to please introduce Professor Tiwari.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Sashiji. It's indeed a privilege to be introducing this erudite scholar who is our esteemed guest speaker today. Professor Maruti Nandan Prasad Tiwari ji is presently the Tagore National Fellow and Vice Chairman of Indian Art History Congress, Guwahati. Former head of Department of History of Art, Benares Hindu University for 3 terms, and after retirement appointed as Professor Emeritus in the same department, speaks volumes of his scholarship. Deeply involved in the Indian art, his extensively researched many publications deal with the different aspects of Jaina art in depth with nuanced aspects of cultural heritage. Popular authored books are Jaina Prativignan, Elements of Jaina Iconography, Ambika in Jaina Art and Literature, Khajuraho Ka Jaina Puratatva, Jaina Kala Tirtha Devgad, Madhyakalina Bharatiya Murti Kala, Madhyakalina Bharatiya Pratima Lakshana, Jaina Art and Aesthetics, and Kashi Ki Prachin Deva Murtiya and Jaina Art and Architecture in the first volume of Encyclopedia. His academic pursuits and publications have brought several honors and awards to him. He was invited by the President of India to Rashtrapati Bhavan twice, first time by Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma and next by Dr. K.R. Narayanan. He was awarded Acharya Narendra Deva Puraskar by Hindi Samsthan in UP, Indira Gandhi National Raja Bhasha Award Delhi, and Hema Chandracharya Award. As recipient of Nehru Trust Fellowship, Dr. Tiwari worked in UK. He was invited and he delivered lectures, including keynote addresses at the prestigious SOAS London, University of Cardiff, UK, Nehru Center, London, and Berlin University, Germany. With his profound understanding of Jainism, it will indeed be a treat to listen to his unraveling the multi-layered narratives of Jainism of the Khajuraho Jaina temples. The second speaker in the temple series, we also welcome you, Professor Maruti Nandan Prasadji, and the platform is all yours for the next 50 to 60 minutes. So thank you and welcome once again.
Oh, thank you and welcome to all. I am not going to say much on Khajuraho, its location, geographical position, because it is well known. It is it's a World Heritage Site, and also Jainism. But only one thing, that the core spirit of Jainism was the asceticism, renunciation, ahimsa, non-acquisition or aparigraha, and truth, and with which they did never compromise. They did never compromise, and that is apparent through the figures of the Tirthankaras or the Jinas, who are the principal, I may say deity because they have been subsequently called Ishwar deity, the principal deity, and they always remained either seated in Dhyan Mudra or standing in Kayasarga Mudra, either wearing clad in dhoti or even being sky clad. So with this form, they did never compromise, because this form was to show the basic tenets and the jinas being the embodiment of those tenets. One thing. Now coming to the temples. Temples are sacred. Devalaya, Devagriha, Devayatan, several names are given. And one thing is that Indian temples were both inclusive and exclusive. Inclusive in the sense that if the temple is dedicated to Shiv, or in case of Jainism to any particular Tirthankar, be it Adinath, be it Mahavir, be it Parshvanath. Well, in the sanctum sanctorum, that is Garbhagriha, you will find the main image being that of that particular Tirthankar, or even in case of Shiv temple, Shiv Vishnu. But here comes the exclusiveness. But it becomes inclusive when we find that on the walls, shikhar, and different parts of those temples, we find the figures of the other deities also. The Shiv temple will be having the figures of Vishnu, Surya, Shakti, Ganesh, and even the Jain Tirthankaras, sometimes even the Buddha. And likewise, in case of Jain temples, the best example of which we find is at Khajuraho, that is Parshvanath Jain temple. We would be discussing it. Thereon we find, along with the figures of the Tirthankaras, Jain Yakshis, the figures of Vishnu, Shiva, Ram, Kamdev, Agni, and what not. So all the deities are present. The Krishna, the narrative from the life of Krishna, the narrative from the life of Ram. So it becomes inclusive. So this is to be understood that in core character, the Indian temples were non-sectarian. Sectarian only to the extent that the main image in the sanctum is that of a particular deity, in deity of dedication. One thing. Second is, we hardly find any architectural difference so far as the Brahminical or Vedic Puranic, I would like to say. Temples, be it Khajuraho, be it Osia, be it Bhubaneswar, or any other, even South India, or the Jain temples. They all will be having the same architectural components, the parts. So here comes the commonality. So sharing and commonality and inclusiveness and exclusiveness, these were the four main features on which I would be just centering my talk throughout. To start with, I would like to tell you one thing, that temples are the place where a dialogue between past and present take place. How? The temples of Khajuraho of Chandel period, belonging to a period ranging from 9th to 12th century CE. Because if I take all, I won't be able to complete within, because it will be very difficult. So confining to Khajuraho. But who are going to visit the temple? Who, as we are doing, are talking about those temples? Who are thinking about those temples? We all are, even the devotees, the researchers, the connoisseurs, they are all the present. They go see and have some feeling, have some interactive self-introspection while being in the sanctum sanctorum. So there comes the dialogue between past and present. So it's the best place where past and present meets, and there is a dialogue between Bhakta and Ishwar, Paramatma, or Ishtadeva. So that is another point. Third is, it is a place of self-realization. The main image is called Shri Murti, Ishtamurti, or Mula Devata, which is in the Garbhagriha, Sanctum Sanctorum. And when, as a devotee, we visit the temple, what we do? We try to get ourselves free from our I consciousness, main. And when I consciousness is gone, then only the process of self-realization starts, and then we become selfless. And then when we become selfless, then only the eligibility to become a real, genuine devotee comes in. So that is a place where one is supposed to have an experience of self-realization, to know himself through the God. Who is the God? Shiv. And what features, what virtues, or what social values that God stands for. Tirthankaras, Vitaragi Tirthankaras. What message do we get when we message worship? We make Dravya worship. We offer so many things. Do you think the Vitaragi Tirthankaras need those material things? No. They are the highest spiritual souls. So we make Dravya worship while it should be Bhava worship. And our images should be Bhakti Murti, the embodiment of Bhakti, and through the Bhakti, the purification of our own heart. And it will come only when self-realization is there. Then only we can have a communion with the God. And then only the purpose will be served. So that is another point of the temple which I am making, and which is true about so many things. The Indian temples, including, of course, Khajuraho, I'm concentrating on, but Khajuraho does not mean only Khajuraho. The entire gamut of Indian temples suggests the same what I am speaking about Khajuraho. It is a representation of the Param Purush, cosmic man, Vedic tradition. And the basic thing is Ekam Sat Viprah Bahudha Vadanti. Prakriti and Vikriti, nominal to phenomenal. The God is Nirgun, Nirakar, but at the same time, for the sake of the convenience of the devotees or the people or the worshippers, he appears in different forms. Rupam, Rupam, Pratirupo, Babhu. These I am quoting from Rig Veda. He became the original, just mind you, original form of every form. So every form is original. Likewise, in each of us is God. We are the Ansh of that Paramatma Anshi. So all these things are there, and because of the cosmic man, we find that not only the deity is there, the main deity Shiv is there, but on Shiv temple or on Jain temple, Vishnu, Shiv, Ram, Balram, even Kamadev, the god of love, are there. But also these ascetics are there, the dancers are there, the musicians are there, the day-to-day life is being depicted, means Lok and Parlok. Both is included, and then the concept of cosmic mind comes. Whatever is there in the world, Charachar Jagat, animate, inanimate world. So in entirety, the temple shows or includes or exhibits all the Charachar Jagat, and then it becomes a symbol of Pap Param Purush. Then we find the fusion of the material world and the spiritual world. We have the concept of four Purusharthas. And this is true of the Khajuraho Jain temples also, Khajuraho Brahminical temples also. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma we know, Arth we know, it is the worldly need for survival. We need so many things for which we take up different occupations and all that. Then Kam is essential, and marriage is the basic institution, and outcome of the marriage is the progeny. Progeny means the continuity. And just by going through these three stages, the fourth Purusharth automatically comes, and all the Purusharthas are being depicted on not only Brahminical temples or Vedic Puranic temples, but Jain temples as well. So here comes the sharing and the commonality of the concept, of which I was trying to focus on. Then we are so much concerned about ecology today. The ecological imbalances has put us all in peril. We do not know how we are going to survive. So many problems we are faced with, be water, be mountain, be torrential rain, anything. So nowadays the entire world is very much conscious of. But do we know that thousands and thousands years before, because the Khajuraho temples means at least 1,000 years before they were built, they were more concerned and they were very seriously concerned about the ecology. And it is because of this that we find that every deity is provided with some or the other animal or bird as the vahanas or the mount. Even the Tirthankaras, they do not ride upon the mount, because even riding upon a mount amounts to hinsa. And here is a deeper sense of ahimsa in Jainism. They did not show their Tirthankar just sitting on the mount. It is shown as the cognizance on the pedestal. Is there? Every Tirthankara attained Keval Gyan under some or the other tree. Every deity is related with some or the other river, mountain. This is ecology. And on Indian temples, Jain temples, you find not only the presence of nature along in association with the forms of the deities, but also in the entire background. The vegetation will be there, the creepers will be there, the Padma Pankti will be there on the Adhishtan, the animals will be there, Narathar will be there, the Gajathar will be there, the Ashwathar will be there all along the temple. So this was their approach towards ecology, that yes, man cannot survive all alone. He can survive, he can prosper, and he can develop only along with the being friendly with the nature. So the Jain temples also show this. And now the points of community, the sharing. On Jain temples, like the Brahmanical temples of Khajuraho, be Lakshman temple, Kandariya Mahadev temple, Vishwanath temple, Matangeshwar temple, we find at the entrance point the figures of Ganga and Yamuna, the two river goddesses. And on the Jain temples, which I'm going to talk about, Adinath, Parshvanath, Ghantai Jain temple, Shantinath Jain temple, also we find at the entrance on right, Ganga will be there with Makar Vahan and Yamuna will be there with Kurma Vahan. The river goddesses means the importance of water in life. Jal is aap, that is prana tattva. We cannot survive without water. And this reality was realized then. And now even the science says how much of water is essential for our survival, and the lack of water leads to so many problems and diseases and all that. So how rational they were. So Ganga and Yamuna. And another interpretation is Ganga and Yamuna. Ganga stands for sacredness, pavitrata. And Yamuna stands for devotion, bhakti. We are going to enter into the temple leading to the Garbhagriha Sanctum Sanctorum, where your Tirthankar is there. Maybe in Shiv temple, Shiv is there. And you are going to submit to your Ishta Devata, God, for self-realization, to have a communion with the God. And for that, unless you are pure at heart, your heart is filled with devotion or bhakti, you are not eligible. So these were the points of eligibility test. So many interpretations, and this was the common feature. Another is Ashtadikpalas, the gods of 8 directions: east, south, Agni; south, Yam; southwest, Niriti; west, Varuna; west north, Vayu; north, Kuber; and northeast is Ishan. Ashtadikpalas are found on Jain temples and on Brahmanical temples at Khajuraho. This is sharing commonality. And we today say that no, Jainism is exclusive. Brahmanical temples, they say that yes, we are supreme, we are exclusive. So nothing was exclusive, everything was inclusive, because the sharing was the common feature or the common trend or the spirit of Indian culture. Ekam sat viprah bahudha vadanti. The truth is one. Then Navagrahas, 9 planets, from Surya to Som, Mangal, Budh, Brihaspati, Shukra, Shani, Rahu, Ketu. They are also depicted on Brahmanical and Jain temples. Even on the images of the Tirthankaras on pedestals, we find the figures of the Navagrahas. This is commonality and sharing. The topic I am going to. Lakshmi and Saraswati. Lakshmi stands for wealth. She is the goddess of prosperity, affluence. And Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom. And these two are essential for every human being. Lakshmi is essential for worldly fulfillment or fulfillment of the worldly needs. And Saraswati is essential because knowledge, we cannot distinguish what is good, what is bad. So both were essential and both were accepted and both were carved on Brahminical temples at Khajuraho and Jain temples at Khajuraho, and were also assimilated in Buddhist art also. So here comes the commonality and inclusiveness and sharing of the Jain and the Brahminical art on the temples of Khajuraho, be it Brahminical, be it Jain. Then comes Kshetrapal, Ganesh, Kuber, god of wealth. So these were the points of commonality which are to be seen at Khajuraho, which I will be just showing when I just go with the visuals. Now coming to the Jain temples. Tradition says there were 85 temples at Khajuraho, right? At the moment, 25 survive. They are of the Nagar style, North Indian style, and they are supposed to be the best and the most brilliant creation of Indian artist or Indian product of Indian art. And it is a World Heritage Site, and it is a site which attracts not only the Indian tourists, researchers, art connoisseurs, but common man also, and the foreign tourists. So much. Maximum number of foreign tourists, if are to be seen, they are to be seen at Khajuraho. Because it's a point of surprise that at still 25 temples are surviving. Of the 25 surviving temples, 4 are the Jain temples. The first one is a Parshvanath Jain temple, the best I am going to show you. Second is Adinath Jain temple. Third is Ghantai Jain temple. But all these 3 were basically Adinath Jain temple dedicated to first Tirthankar Adinath. Parshvanath temple is a misnomer. This is again another story. Then in most of the cases, we know Sas Bahu temple. What does it mean? Parshvanath temple was basically a Jinnanath Adinath Jain temple. Lakshman temple at Khajuraho, no. It was Vaikuntha Vishnu temple, Dula Dev temple. So most, at least 20% temples are misnomer. Now the time has come when Archaeological Survey of India, and we all should impress upon them to just revise and just give the real name which is now known, and let the older name being given in the bracket one. So that is another point. So all the temples are dedicated to Adinath, and one is dedicated to the Shantinath, the 16th Tirthankar. But in my own research, I have surveyed the entire site, Jain site of Khajuraho, and also the museums, where I found a number of door lintels, different parts of the temples, fragmentary parts of the temples, and on just counting the number of door lintel means, if the door lintel and door frames are found, means the existence of a temple is being testified, is being confirmed, ratified. If we find 30 door lintels, 40 door lintels, means if a temple was having more than one door lintel, one was for Ardhamandap, other was for Garbhagriha. So two each, 40 means at least 20 Jain temples were already there, which do not exist, which are dilapidated, and where the fragmentary remains are only found. Means the 4 plus 20, at least 24 Jain temples were there at the time of the Chandelas, which are datable from mid-10th to the 13th century CE. This is another very interesting thing is there. And this Parshvanath temple is called because of a subsequent image of black stone, which is of 1860 CE, 1860. And because of that black stone of 1860, which is of Parshvanath, the temple came to be known as Parshvanath, while the original throne is already there in the sanctum. And that throne is of Rishabhnath, which I will be just showing you. And then you yourself will realize how the things were done there. Another point of sharing was, as I have told you, and as I will just see, that on the facade of the Parshvanath Jain temple, means actually Adinath Jain temple, we find the figures of Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, Ram, Kamdev, Agni, and few other deities, either alone or along with their respective Shaktis in Alingan pose. Means the sharing, the vigorous sharing, means the harmonious relationship during those times in Parshvanath Jain temples, deities 950 to 970, in between 950 and 970. And there is an inscription of 1011 Samvat, which comes to 954 CE. But any temple, when we date, cannot be dated to a particular date, because it means that in 1 year the temple was built. No, we will have to give at least 10-20 years time bracket for a temple. So 950 to 970 is the date of the Parshvanath Jain temple. And all these figures are found along with the Jain figures of the Jinas, Bahubali, Jain Yakshi Ambika, and Jain goddess Saraswati. So they go hand in hand, not separately. Tirthankar is there, and by the side you will find the Vishnu figure is there. The Shiv is there. Then Ambika is there. Then you find the beautiful damsel Apsara figure is there. I will just show you. This is a wonder. And Parshvanath temple is taken to be one of the best and the most magnificent of all the Khajuraho Jain temples. It excels in art excellence. Then I think I should go for the visuals now. We can go for visuals. We can go for visuals. And I call Parshvanath Jain temple to be a composite temple of great example of sharing, mutual sharing. A unique example in India. If an image could be composite of Shiv and Shakti Ardhanarishwar, which is having the figures of so many deities together, and it is not one-sided. I have the example that on Devi Jagdambi and Vishwanath temples of Khajuraho of 11th century, we have the figures of the Tirthankaras on those Brahminical temples. And also a temple which was excavated in archaeological excavation in Bij Mandal area. There also on Shaiv temple we find a Jin figure. And this was not limited to Khajuraho only, but at other sites also this kind of sharing was going on. This was the practice. So actually we have narrowed down our concept today in the age and era of globalization. We talk of globalization, but in thinking we have narrowed down ourselves to the limit. While the people of those ancient times were not that much concerned and not that much strict as to the sectarian adherence. They were liberal, assimilative and sharing. So at Osia, it is in Rajasthan, there also we find on Hindu temple Tirthankar image. At Bhubaneswar, on Mukteshwar temple also we find, and also in Karnataka there is Vidya Shankar temple at Sringeri. There also we find Jain Tirthankar image. Means this was a pan-Indian concept of mutuality in terms of reference. Now, this is the plan, and in plan you see the western group of temples, which include the main Brahminical groups: Chausat Yogini, Vishwanath temple, Kandariya Mahadev temple, Lakshman temple, Matangeshwar temple, Vara temple, and here is a group of Jain temples: Parshvanath, Adinath, and just in near close proximity is Ghantai. Ghantai was Adinath temple, but because of the bell and chain decoration, सबसे पहले जिसने देखा, who saw it, he named it as Ghantai temple because of the decoration of ghanta and chain. Next, please. Yes, this is the Brahminical temple, Lakshman temple, which was dedicated to Vishnu, Vaikuntha Vishnu form. It's a misnomer. Lakshman, nothing doing with Lakshman, the brother of Ram. So somebody has named when somebody has saw first, and the name is still coming. I have severally requested, and I started even writing that it is not Lakshman temple, but still everywhere we find that it is written Lakshman temple. This is another side of the picture. You see Ardha Mandap, then Mandap, then Maha Mandap, Great Hall with lateral transepts. Then comes the vestibule, Antaral, and then comes the Garbhagriha. Garbhagriha inside. Sandhar style is there. The bigger temples at Khajuraho are of Sandhar style. Sandhar style means the inner circumambulation will be there. भीतरी प्रदक्षिणा पथ भी उसमें होगा. गर्भगृह की प्रदक्षिणा पैसेज और फिर बाहर से एक प्रदक्षिणा होगा पूरा. And it was a Panchayatan temple. main temple of Vishnu, and on four corners we will be having four other small temples, and those were dedicated to four other deities, means Shiva, Shakti, Surya and Ganesh. Including all, again it is inclusive. It becomes Panch, Panchayatan, Panchadeva Pujan. So again, this shows this sharing within Brahminical cult, sharing in between Brahminical and Jain. So Khajuraho becomes a very unique and important site for the study of the Indian cultural ethos, ancient Indian cultural ethos, and the spirit of Indian culture in ancient times, which today we do not relish, we do not cherish. Next, please. Yes. This is Kandariya Mahadev, the biggest temple of 11th century Vidyadhar. Ardhamandap, Mandap, Mahamandap, Antaral, and all the parts are just written. The biggest, and a very high plinth was provided to the Khajuraho temples. That was another very important landmark. So in elevation, first comes the plinth, then starts the real temple. The lower portion of the real temple, this is the plinth. Real temple will be Adhishtan, basement. Then comes the Jangha, because the concept was of Param Purush, the human body, anatomical features. So the names were also given like Jangha, Griva, Mastak. This was the name, and name again suggests that like a man or human being, the names to different limbs of the temples or parts of the temples were given. Next, please. Yes, group of Jain temples. Here comes Parshvanath, and just nearby is Adinath, and this is new group of temples. And inside new temples, we have numerous examples of ancient door lintels of Jain temples, different parts of the temples, ancient temples, Jain temples, and on the basis of that, I have concluded that at least 20 to 24 Jain temples were built during the Chandel period in between 10th and 13th century at Khajuraho. Next, please. Parshvanath Jain temple. Ardhamandap, Mahamandap, it is covered. And it is a Sandhar. Again, inner circumambulation is there. Inside circumambulation of the Garbhagriha sanctum, and then outer, that is Sandhar type. And this is called Jangha, on which we filed the figural depictions. On Lakshmana temple, we find two parallel rows going all around the exterior wall. That is called Jangha or Mandovar. On the temple of Vishwanath and this Parshvanath Jain temple, we find three rows, we will just see, of parallel going all around the temple facade. So this is supposed to be one of the best temples architecturally, sculpturally, iconographically at Khajuraho. And another very important point is, next please. This is called Ardhamandap. Ardhamandap is the porch, the entrance. And here is the entrance. You can see door lintel, and then comes the door frames. Next, please. This is called door lintel of the Ardhamandap. Ardhamandap means the porch. आप मंदिर में प्रवेश करते हैं तो प्रवेश द्वार है अर्धमंडप का. इसके बाद एक और प्रवेश द्वार होगा, that will be of the exact sanctum or sanctum sanctorum, Garbhagriha. So here what is important is, here you find the figure of a Yakshi. The Yakshi is Chakreshwari, and Chakreshwari has been the Yakshi of the first Tirthankar Adinath. Means, although the temple is known as Parshvanath because of 1860 black image, originally this lintel shows that this was dedicated to Adinath. And at the top you see the jinn is sitting, being flanked by the worshippers. The jinn is sitting, being flanked by worshippers. Next, please. And the amorous couples are shown on both the door frames. On Parshvanath Jain temples, amorous couples are shown in a loving, kissing, embracing postures and going to the extent of erotic activity. Sexual conjugation are also shown. Sexual cohabitance is also shown, which was something unusual in case of the Jain temple and which was not permissible. Although one of the texts endorses the depiction of such scenes, but usually those are not found, and those are depicted on Parshvanath Jain temple, of course, because of this sharing, because those were very commonly shown on Brahmanical Jain temples. This is the door lintel of the Garbhagriha, showing the Tirthankar images, and in between the figures of the Navagrahas, 9 planets, from Surya to Rahu and Ketu. Next, please. Yes, this is the main image in the Sanctum Sanctorum Parshvanath Jain temple. This image, black image, is dated to 1860. Because of this subsequently kept Parshvanath image, the temple came to be known as Parshvanath, while originally you see the door, the entire pedestal and the throne and the image being of Adinath. And here is from here I have taken the larger picture, the Yaksh of Adinath, Gomukh Yaksh and Chakreshwari Yakshi. Means, and also the cognizance is bull. On original pedestal, the cognizance is bull of Adinath. Chakreshwari and Gomukh Yakshi are also of Adinath. Means, undoubtedly the temple was dedicated to Adinath. Next, please. This temple has got 2 sanctum. One on the eastern side, other is on the western side, a small projection, and inside also you find a small figure of Adinath. Again, here comes the bull. The Tirthankar does not ride upon the mount, the cognizance, and it is never said mount or Vahan. It is said Langshan, Chin. So this amounts to the height of ahimsa, that even riding upon some animal or bird will amount to hinsa, and which was the case. Shiv rides upon the bull, Vishnu rides upon Garud. That was not the case with Jainism and Jain art, and this is something unique. Next, please. Yes, this inscription is very important, which comes from Parshvanath temple. The Jain inscription, which is of Vikram Samvat 1011, means AD 1954, means the exact date 954 is of the temple. But any temple cannot be built in 1 year. Therefore, a time bracket of 20 years, 950 to 970, I have given in the Parshvanath temple of Khajuraho. Now, which refers to Jinnanath. In inscription, this is called Jinnanath. Jinnanath means Adinath temple. And this was built by the Jain trader Pahil. Means he was almost having the equal status and equal financial capacity to build such a huge, big and magnificent temple which could equal the Brahminical temples built by the rulers, like the Dhang, the Vidyadharas. So this is very important, that as parallel to ruling class, the trader Pahil was occupying a very important position, and he was honored by the then king Dhang. He was honored. And Maharaj Guru of Dhang, Chandel Naresh, was Vasav Chandra. Another very interesting and point of assimilation and sharing is that Pahil donated 7 Vatikas, gardens, for the maintenance of the temple, this temple of Jinnanath. Those gardens are interestingly named as Pahil. One name was Pahil, other was Chandra, next was Lagu Chandra, and then comes the Shankar Vatika, Panchayatan Vatika, Amra Vatika, Dhang Vatika. Then Shankar and Panchayatan Vatika, these two names means nothing doing with Jainism. Means again this sharing and the cordial relationship of the Brahminical people or the people of following the Vedic Puranic faith and the Jainas. Next, please. The inscription is the direct evidence. Next. This is the exterior wall. 1, 2, 3, 3 parallel rows. This is called Jangha. This is called Adhisthana. This is called Jangha. Jangha means thigh. Exterior wall or even mandover. And you see the continuous depiction of different figures, which include the Brahminical deities. I have already told you the Tirthankar figures, the Yakshi Ambika, the Bahubali, and other Jain deities. Along with here is Ambika, and along with that the Brahminical deities. And Brahminical deities all alone as well as standing with their spouse or the Shaktis in Alingan pose, embracing pose. Next. Next, please. Yes, the close-up you see. Yes. Lakshmi Narayan. Vishnu, Lakshmi. Then a Vyal figure is there. Then a Apsara or damsel or nymph figure is there. Naika. Applying collyrium in the eyes. Kajal lagati hui. Then Balaram and Revati. Then Shiv. And in the second row also the 7 divine figures as well as a male figure standing with 2 female figures with both of his hands on the shoulder of those female figures. So such couples were also carved. Next. Here again you see Ambika. The Yakshi of Neminath is there, Amrilumbi, and then comes the bunch of mango along with Vishnu and Lakshmi. And here is the figure of Dikpal Yam. This is means this figure will say that this is the south facade. Yam is to be depicted on south. Next. Yes, you can see the Jinn figure standing in the council. This is the Vyal figure, the Apsara figures, again the Tirthankar figures, sitting and standing. So it was in the midst of the Tirthankar figures, the Jain depiction, that the Brahminical deities were carved, and that was something very unique in terms of sharing. Nowhere in India, other than this temple on Parshvanath, we find such a depiction of mutual and amicable sharing. Next. Yes, just wonderful. Kam and Rati. Kam holds, I will take so much of time if I just detail, I won't go. The Ikshudhanu, the bow made of sugar cane and Panch Pushpa Sar. Again Kam and Rati. The figures of Kam and Rati on Parshvanath Jain temple, since Kam and Rati are the god of love. Love brings so much of amusement, enjoyment that leads to dance and music. So in the upper 2 rows we find the figures of the dance and music, and the lower one is the Kam and Rati. So here comes the contextual depiction, and that contextual depiction goes in proper context and reference. Next, please. Goddess Saraswati. At the top here is a small Jain figure, means a Jain stamp is that she is the Jain god, because Saraswati was also in Brahminical faith, Buddhist faith, so it is a Jain context. On Adhishtan of Parshvanath temple, she holds a Makar Veena, playing on that with two hands. Here comes the manuscript, and the other attributes are there. So Saraswati is also there, and that it is one of the most brilliant figure of Saraswati of Indian art tradition, not only of Jain art. So this is something very important. Next, please. Bahubali. We know the tallest image is at Shravan Belgol. We all know who Bahubali was. I'm not going to explain because time does not permit me. He is being entwined by the creepers. The creepers entwined all his body while he was absorbed in meditation. But he remained unperturbed, unshaken in meditation. And because of that deep meditation, he came to be worshipped and he became an idol of worship. And he ultimately became an idol to be worshipped, and not only worshipped, but almost to equal the Jinas who were the highest in Jain worship. This is very important. Means the most emphasis was on the austerity in Jainism, that whosoever observes it can lead or get that exalted position. Next, please. Again from Parshvanath Jain temple. Here you can see the figure of Ambika, Yakshi Ambika and Shikhar. And here you find the erotic figure, male and female in the posture of copulation. So all sorts of depiction, including from erotic to divine figures to damsels, all are shown. And here comes the sharing in the best form. Next, please. The same Ambika figure which you have just seen here. Bunch of mango, and Ambika means the great mother. Mother will always hold a child. Then only the motherhood will appear. And since she is Ambika, shown with baby, here you find Putra Vallabha, Apsara also holding a baby. So here comes the context also, that they have contextualized these depictions also. Next. Yes, here is Ram Katha. Sita in Ashok Vatika, she is sitting. Hanuman is just sitting in front of Sita and consoling Sita, just giving the ring that don't get worried. Ram is just coming for your rescue, for your emancipation, and just get you free from the bandhan of Ravana. Next. The image of Ram Sita is there, and he see the monkey is none else but Hanuman. The smallness of Hanuman is the smallness of a Bhakt. भक्त जितना भक्ति में डूबता है उतना वो छोटा हो जाता है. Gradually he becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, because once we get selfless in the ultimate point of bhakti, we get smaller, insignificant. And here is the depiction, and that depiction suggests Ram is, you see the height of Ram, and here see the height of Hanuman, and he is being blessed by Ram. And here is the scene of the abduction of Sita. Ravan in disguise is, and Sita is just giving the alms. So many things, enormous things, which cannot be explained in 1 hour. I can take hours and hours. Next, please. Brahma and Savitri. Next. And here, next. You can see a lady just making painting on the wall. Apsara, lady just making painting on the wall. And she is engrossed. Next. Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. Next. Apsara figures, so prolific, so enormous on Khajuraho temples. Here you find Nupur Padika. She is preparing for dance and just putting on the Nupur for dance. So she is a dancer. Here applying the collyrium, and here applying the paint on the feet. So in different postures, and the postures almost become sensuous. Just they just give a physical uh, appeal of physical beauty, and that leads to the point of sensuousness, and that was the general feature of Khajuraho sculptures, so far as the erotic figures are concerned, so far as the Apsara figures are concerned. Next. Yes, you can see the erotic figure, Apsara figures. Next. Yes, Dikpal figures, Yam is there, Niriti is there, and Agni is there. You can see the flames on the back. And Agni holds always a manuscript and a shruk. Shruk, a wooden ladle with which in yaj the material is being offered in the Agni. Next. So this is last, and this is a Jin figure on a Brahmanical Jain temple. You can see Jin. And finally, I have concluded what I have said, that these figures, the Khajuraho Jain temples, are important in themselves, and especially the Parshvanath Jain temple, because it is the epitome, it is the best example of the mutual sharing, mutual harmonious sharing, and that way it becomes a unique example so far as the art is concerned, so far as the architecture is concerned, and that way I just end with thanks to all of you. I have to be very quick, just sweeping the things so that I could finish it within 50 minutes, you have told me, and I hope I have been able to do it. Otherwise, I would have taken
Thank
it
you.
2 hours. 2 hours.
Yes, I can understand.
Slowly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are grateful to you, Professor Tiwari. On behalf of Bhavan's Ameshi Center of Indology, Bharati Vidya Bhavan Delhi Kendra,
Thank you.
I express my heartfelt
pleasure.
gratitude to you for
My
all the points that you raised. May I request Shri A.B. Shukla ji and Shri Ashok Pradhan ji to say a few words? Shri A.B. Shukla ji, would you like to say something?
Sure.
Ji.
As usual, Bharati Vidyavan always comes with something new. And as a matter of fact, I have been studying Jain structure, Jain architecture, Jain temples, Jain literature with great interest. And I must admit, today I have got a new insight. अब तक जो भी पढ़ा था तिवारी जी ने उसको दो की नया बढ़ा दिया, बिल्कुल नई दिशा दिखाई. क्योंकि एक अक्सर प्रश्न उठता है that sometimes they say Western temples were demolished and Jain temples were erected. Sometimes they say no, it's the other way around. So this was unending debate. Today he has shown the entire debate in a new light. Fantastic cohesion, and I must say very deep-rooted research. And as he rightly said, this lecture requires at least 2 hours to finish. In 1 hour, justice cannot be done to this thing. It is such a deep-rooted thing. Unless you go at length in the Jain philosophy,
Yes.
what are basic grounds? And as he rightly said, I have been thinking about it. When I studied this Bhaktambar Stut, their foremost Stut,
Yes.
what I found, it contains the same principle of Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha in every shloka. Whether it is the first shloka, Bhaktambar Pranati Mauli Mani Prabhanam, उद्योतम दलित पाव तमो वितानम सम्यक प्रणम जिन पाद युगम गादा वालंबन बहुजरे तत्ताम जना नाम. So dharma, arth, kam, moksha, repetition, and this is being repeated again and again.
Yeah.
Similarly, the other Kalyan Mandir, Vishapahari, or Ekashiti, all these are based on same principles. So there has to be something quite deep rooted between Jain philosophy and the Vedantic philosophy. Unfortunately, people take it differently. Today, for the first time, Professor Tiwari has spoken with authority, with conviction, and with true facts. I salute Tiwari sahab. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I request Shri Ashok Pradhan ji to please say a few words? आप प्लीज अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, आपका म्यूट हुआ है.
मैं शास्त्री तिवारी जी का बहुत आभारी हूँ कि उन्होंने इतना सुंदर भाषण दिया, इतनी अधिक उसमें खजुराहो के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन दी, क्योंकि मैंने खजुराहो विजिट किया हुआ है, परंतु जो आज मुझे उसके बारे में पता लगा ये मुझे ज्ञान नहीं था. मैं उनका बहुत आभारी हूँ और शुक्ला जी का भी आभारी हूँ कि उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी बात कही. मेरा सजेशन आज ये है शशि बाला जी, ये टेम्पल सीरीज का दूसरा अंग है आज का.
जी.
मेरा निवेदन है तिवारी जी से और जो भी लोग बोलेंगे कि इस जितनी भी भाषण वो इस विषय में जो बता रहे हैं हमको, उसको लिखकर हमें अलग से दें. भारतीय विद्यावन की ओर से मैं इस सीरीज की एक पुस्तक निकालना चाहूँगा जिसमें आप सब लोगों के लेक्चर्स हों, और उसमें लेक्चर्स क्या मतलब जो आप इंफॉर्मेशन जो ज्ञान दे रहे हैं वो सबको मिल सके. क्योंकि इस तरह से हम बात करके अगर इसको समाप्त कर देंगे तो इसका फिर वो कोई परमानेंट उसका वो नहीं रहेगा. इसलिए मेरा निवेदन है और मेरा ये विचार है कि जितने भी लेक्चर्स होते जा रहे हैं उनमें आप लिखकर हमको दें और इस पर हम पुस्तक बना के छापेंगे भारतीय विद्या भवन, जिससे कि जितने टेम्पल्स के बारे में, टेम्पल सीरीज के विषय में सबको पता लगे. और ये भारतीय विद्या भवन का जो उद्देश्य है भारतीय संस्कृति को आगे बढ़ाना, और हमारे टेम्पल जो है बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है हमारे धर्म के, हमारे भक्ति के, हमारे विभिन्न अंगों के. तो उनके लिए ये आवश्यक है कि लोग पढ़ें और पता लगे कि भाई कितने प्रकार से क्या क्या टेम्पल्स की कब बने, क्या उनकी विशेषता थी, क्या उनका उद्देश्य था. ये मेरा विचार है. मैं अधिक नहीं बोलना चाहता कि समय हो गया, परंतु मैं आप सबका बहुत आभारी हूँ कि आपने बहुत अच्छा आज भाषण दिया तिवारी जी. और मैं शशि बाला जी के बारे में भी ये कहना चाहूँगा कि उन्होंने जिसका आयोजन किया है उसके लिए भारतीय विद्या भवन की ओर से मैं आप सबका आभारी हूँ, उनका भी आभारी हूँ. धन्यवाद.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद श्री अशोक प्रधान जी. आपकी प्रेरणा, आपके सारा का सारा जितनी भी सपोर्ट और जो कुछ भी हम लोग किसी भी विषय को लेकर आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं उसमें कभी कोई इफ एंड बट नहीं होता. तुरंत उसके लिए हमें बहुत अच्छी तरह से सपोर्ट करके आगे बढ़ने का मार्ग दिखाते हैं. आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. तो इन्हीं शब्द मैं प्रोफेसर तिवारी जी के आपसे दो प्रश्न पूछना चाहती थी कि एक जो आपने इंस्क्रिप्शन दिखाया उसका जो स्क्रिप्ट है वो तो बहुत प्राचीन नहीं है, तो आप मुझे कृपया ये बताइए कि जब इंस्क्रिप्शन लिखा गया, यद्यपि उसमें डेट आदि तो ठीक है कि भाई वो मंदिर कब बना इत्यादि, परंतु मुझे लगता है कि इंस्क्रिप्शन लिखा बहुत बाद में गया है.
ये इंस्क्रिप्शन को बिल्कुल आपने ठीक कहा कि ओवरराइट किया गया है, रीराइट किया गया है.
जी.
बट द कंटेंट इज द सेम.
हाँ जी, कंटेंट ठीक है परंतु लिखा बाद में गया है क्योंकि उसकी लिपि जो है
नहीं बाद में इट मस्ट हैव बीन ब्लर्ड
जी,
तो उसको फिर से वो किया गया है. और यू आर करेक्ट कि जब बाद में लिखा जाएगा तो स्क्रिप्ट तो बदल जाएगी,
बदल दिया.
हाँ, उसकी पैराग्राफी बदल जाएगी.
जी.
तो दैट इज देयर, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट.
जी. और दूसरा प्रश्न था व्याल जो स्थान पर दिखाई दे रहे हैं
जी
वो क्या रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं जी? सिंबल किस चीज के हैं वो?
व्याल पावर को डिनोट करते हैं
जी. पावर है. हाँ जी.
एक तो पावर को डिनोट करते हैं
हाँ जी.
और उसके साथ साथ जिसको कहा जाए कि कहीं ना कहीं एक रॉयल अथॉरिटी को भी डिनोट करते हैं. क्योंकि व्याल को केवल ऐसे नहीं दिखा जाएगा तो सिंह मुख जैसे दिखेंगे,
जी
लेकिन उसी में वो अश्वव्याल भी हैं,
हम्म,
गज के मुख वाले भी हैं, मनुष्य के मुख वाले भी हैं,
जी
और ऊपर वैरियर्स हैं, और नीचे घोड़े पर बैठा हुआ आदमी है, एंड ही इज शोन एज फाइटिंग विद द व्याल।
जी जी
तो रॉयल अथॉरिटी को ये डिनोट करता है। और
जी
अगर फिलोसॉफिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कहें तो कुछ इसके और भी बहुत सारे माने दिए गए हैं,
जी
जिसमें यह भी कहा गया है कि व्याल जो है एक प्रकार से जिसको कहा जाए कि क्योंकि अप्सरा के साथ है, ये
जी, वही मैं पूछना चाह रही थी। हाँ
अप्सराओं के साथ हैं, इसलिए कहीं न कहीं काम और व्याल
जी
इसके बीच में आपको एक एक इट वाज ए डिपिक्शन एज
जी
कॉशन
जी
कि आप इसको रेस्ट्रेन मेंटेन करिए, नहीं
जी
तो आपके साथ कठिनाई हो सकती है।
जी जी
और ये थ्रू आउट, अब पूरा बोलना हो तो मैं इरोटिक स्कल्पचर पे ही आपको
जी
लेक्चर दे सकता
जी
हूँ।
जी, कभी
हाँ,
भी सुनते हैं जी।
जी,
जी, पुनः एक बार आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जी नमस्कार, पुनर्मिलनाय, पुनर्मिलनाय।
थैंक यू।
आपसे निवेदन है कि आप इसे लिखित रूप में चित्रों सहित हमें भेजिएगा, जैसे कि श्री अशोक प्रधान जी ने कहा कि हम लोग इसे प्रकाशित करेंगे जिससे ये जन जन तक और अधिक पहुंच सके,
ठीक ठीक।
और फिर सुरक्षित भी होता है जी ज्ञान, आगे की पीढ़ियों तक जाता है। आप म्यूट हो गए जी, आप म्यूट हो गए जी।
अच्छा,
जी
मेरा मतलब सिर्फ इससे था
जी
कि हम लोग जो ये कहते हैं कि हम लोग एक सेक्टेरियन दृष्टि से बहुत एडहेरेंट, बहुत स्टिफ हो गए हैं,
जी जी
वो नहीं था।
जी, वो
ये नहीं
बिल्कुल।
था, आज हम ज्यादा हो गए हैं।
जी जी
आज ग्लोबलाइजेशन में ओपननेस होनी चाहिए,
हाँ
हम
जी
कन्फाइंड हो गए, नैरो डाउन हो गए।
जी जी,
और
उल्टा हो गया। हाँ
उस
जी
समय 1000 साल पहले, 2000 साल पहले वो
जी
ज्यादा ओपन थे, क्योंकि
हाँ
जब वो
जी
मूर्ति बनाते थे बुद्ध की तो लिखते थे सब जन हित है, सब जन सुख है,
जी जी,
फॉर द वेलफेयर एंड हैप्पीनेस ऑफ ऑल।
और हाँ जी
ऑल का कॉन्सेप्ट था,
जी
वो अब नहीं है।
हाँ जी हाँ जी, गुरुद्वारों में जी भी हिंदू देवताओं देवियों की मूर्तियां हुआ करती थी,
हाँ
अब
भाई,
हटा दी, अब हट गई।
हट
हम लोग नैरो डाउन कर रहे हैं जी, अपनी कलेक्टिव कॉन्शियसनेस हमारी होनी
बिल्कुल,
चाहिए।
जो हमारे जो मेन स्पिरिट थी उससे हम कहीं विड्रॉ कर रहे हैं।
जी जी जी, तो
ठीक,
पुनः
थैंक
जी, पुनः बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने बहुत से नए विषयों को उठाया और हम लोगों को उससे बहुत ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत।
नमस्कार। और गीता जी, डॉक्टर गीता बदिकलाय का भी धन्यवाद। आप सभी का, जो लोग भी इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़े, सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।